Hello and welcome to All My Art and Soul. I'm just starting a new phase of new pages, just getting out of my art journaling so I can, in my way, transition from art journaling to then different pages. I can spin them around more. I guess I could in my art journals, but I don't tend to. And today we are going to, or I am going to start a series. Hang on while I get the rest of, these are 8x10s, even though it's 7.5 because I'm going to mat them. And these are not going to be art journals, but in my mind, I want to still think of them as an art journal because then I won't worry about outcome, or at least try not to. So I will try my best. And of course, I don't like this pencil mark, but it's going to be covered anyway. And I'm going to take you from start to finish with this series of 6 8x10s. So stick around. I hope you watch the whole video. I am getting much longer viewing times because you need to watch the whole thing and hopefully you are enjoying it. So let's get creating. So my idea for starting is not to use gesso. I do have gesso under my table, but I thought, well, I want to try this. It's just Artist Loft. That's our Michaels brand in Ontario. And I'm just going to use it as, and I don't even know if this is going to come up. Yes, it is. It's a flow. I'm going to use it like a gesso. So I want to start with some texture, actual physical texture. And I'm going to use my wedge. The Catalyst wedge, and then probably my metal small palette knife. And then I don't mind some of that yellow getting covered up. I'm going to put some thick layers, some thin layers, not too much. I know I can go really exaggerate the layers. We'll need a little bit more, I think. And you see how the previous, whatever I used is going on, and I don't mind because I sort of like those shadowy lines. This, of course, the color shapers. I'm going to use that in a moment. And, oh goodness, this is when things hide on me in the middle of a recording, but that's okay. So I'm going to need some more, and you can see that it's sort of warping because it is paper, and if it's really wet, hopefully the fibers will retract back down when they're dry. And of course I'm going to build a whole bunch of layers of paint, marks, collage, and mediums on these. Now, I am going to, off camera, of course, you're going to watch me do the whole thing. I'm just demonstrating how you might go about adding some texture. All right. So, I'm going to use so I should have got everything out. Holy smokes. In here. I'm going to use some charcoal because I know it'll make a smudgy mark. I don't want it everywhere. You see how you go on and off. So my intention with this little series of 6 is to experiment with different kinds of layer combinations. That's it, in a nutshell. Let's see what else I have. Oh, tiny little screwdriver. I don't know. Let's see. And I'll show you how you can, if you want to just bring down the marks a little bit, you can sort of glide that color shaper over, and let's just leave it at that. So we will dry. So as I add layer number 3, as it says, I need to speed up the video, and when we do that, I need to do a voiceover. And I'm really enjoying the different mark making. I hope you're enjoying how I've slowed down and showed how I apply each layer, the sequence of layers, and that's been my learning process. And I don't know if it's been yours, but it's really, when I slow it down and break it up into all the stages or phases, steps, whatever you want to call them, in my process, then I can reflect, go in, take pieces apart that I liked, maybe I'll try this one, and just move forward with discoveries, mistakes, whatever you want to call them. And I hope this helps you. So this is sort of a thing that I need to do. What is my art process? For this particular series, it will differ depending on what effect I'm trying to create or communicate or concept. And I'm loving this. This is more of a tutorial where I'm trying to go and develop some, first my free courses, free workshops, online of course, and just break it down. There's another whole piece that I need to show you, which is the purposeful painted collage papers that are the same colors, and there's a whole reason why for unity and all of that, but that's in the future, so please stay tuned and don't forget to like and subscribe. And I hope you're enjoying the mixture of live narration and voiceover. So now as it says, entering layer number 4, I was looking, I started 2 more, and they're for next week, because I said this is a series of 6, and right after this I'm going right to wood, because for some reason I'm ready for it. I want to do the same kinds of layers, but I can get more with the harder surface, and that's sanding. So going back and forth. And I'll break it all down for you, and that's why this video is more truly an art tutorial. So I was looking at the two and wondering, what's the difference in this blue? So I'm so glad, unfortunately, didn't remember to write down the colors after I scraped my palette, and it was manganese blue mixed with the turquoise. Oh, so it's warm and cool together. So it's a little more blue, a little more closer, well, a little cooler rather than warmer. And I was looking at my teal, the teal of Golden brand, and I've added that, but then I lost some of that coolness and wondered what's going on. So it is incredible how one little subtle color, which manganese blue is not subtle at all and very transparent, can really affect your whole painting, especially if you're doing 2. Now this is not a one to be, I'm painting them at the same time, and then they're going to go separate, of course. Loving the water-soluble graphite. So I will, at the end of this video or in the comment section, leave you a materials list so you can really follow along with this particular series. And it'll probably be up to part 4 because I'm creating 6 and I'm seeing, I want them to relate but yet be different and to be cohesive but yet to express something of their own. And that's the magic of a series. And I'm loving, so I'm also noticing, was this Naples yellow or was this yellow oxide? See, I used Naples yellow today, and it didn't quite do it. So I'm really liking that. So at the beginning, what I've learned is to go as free as possible, for you, for your marks. Thin, thick, dark, vertical, horizontal. So then you have a way more dynamic layer, a set of layers to work from. Once you are ready, notice that is layer 7, and I'm still haven't put on collage yet. I am loving this thing that I've learned. I think mostly, let's see. Oh, well, I've learned it from both Pamela Coe and Adele, and of course, Judy Woods. So that you're not, or I like how they hold off. I know different artists do different things, but what I'm trying to do now is not scroll through so much, because if I'm scrolling, I can be painting and creating. So that's what we're doing. So right now, I'm using the gloss medium. Now, am I using a brush or a color shaper? You could use either to seal the pastel. And since this is paper, it's rather thick, but not as thick as I would like. But once dry, it's nice and flat. So I know that I don't have to worry about that. And as I said earlier, I will be matting them if they are, if they turn out, if I really like them, and then offering them up on my website, or maybe even to subscribers first. Why not? So playing with this turquoise from Liquitex, Mars Black, yellow oxide or yellow ochre. I will find out which one. They're so close it wouldn't matter. As you can see, I'm only using such a tiny amount. And this one, oh yeah, this was light blue, not teal. Well, there you go. All right. So I'm going back to those colors because I really, really want that unity throughout the series of 6. And then, as you can see, I've got different tissue paper. I've got the tracing paper, newsprint paper, and now this is layer, did it say 8 or 9? Well, anyway, around there. I would have even had another layer of marks above the ones in the upper halves, as you can see, the ones that are really faded. But I think there's enough. It just felt like there was enough. And now I'm cutting out using the deli paper, and now I'm going to go vertical and horizontal so that each section can have, it's not just, what do we call, what was she calling them? Anyway, just areas of color. I want more going on. And so I'll cut them wide and narrow so that, of course, there's a difference. There's wide, medium, narrow, and I might, so this one's really, really narrow. And I love when there's shapes or text or anything interesting in that, I crop it off. And then you can really get some interesting patterns. So loving that you can see something of a strong line underneath it. Now that's what I'm thinking, because I always thought, okay, why are they doing that? Why this layer? And it's been a real learning process, but now I'm getting clarity, and I'm so glad that's my word for the year, for 2023, because I really am getting there. It's been a while, but you know what? That's okay. I think the blue pastel, that cooler blue with the warm, is really, really interesting. I love the water-soluble graphite, thicker lines with a lot of energy. And I seem to like to make sort of loops. So it still relates to circle, rotation, or infinity, or the infinity sign, or whatever that is. It's really interesting. And I have a nice sharp X-Acto knife. And I'm liking how the lines underneath are showing through. Now, I must say, I loved this idea, which is, see, the lines of that tree really match the lines of that. So I put it in the upper corner. And of course I have these little birds in the same color and everything. But it was still too representational for the feeling. See, the picture, the image that I cut and use, and I use various, but they have to have, it's a certain feeling. That on its own, when, the feeling of a bunch of birds leaving, and just that whole connection with nature, the delicacy, the symbolism, is great on its own. But once I put it in the context of my work, it didn't help. So bear with me. I continue, and I love that. And this is, it isn't my image, and there wasn't a connection there. So maybe that was it. But I end up covering them up. So I know, a lot of you, don't cover them up, oh my God. It's so funny, you never know what I'm gonna do. So keep watching. And I love it, but by doing that, there's a cause and effect. So then it caused me to go in a different way or respond in a certain way. So I love this intuitive process. It is so amazing. Oh, I could talk about this all the time. Okay, so that was layer 7, collage. Oh, now we're layering 8. So really 7 and 8, and now I'm stenciling. So I don't know if that was a correct title, but you know what I mean. And I love this Stencil Girl stencil. It's very organic, but it's repetitive, but they're not the same. And it's rectilinear, but it's organic. And then here is a great big 12 by 12 stencil, which I decided today, because things weren't working so smoothly. I had to dig for this. I lost that. Couldn't find that. Sleeve got in the paint. And it was just, one of those days. I'm sure you can relate to that. And I decided, once when I'm working on a whole bunch of, a series of whatever it is, usually 4 to 6, I am going to set everything up and be way more prepared before I dive into my intuitive process or whatever, the video or whatever it is I'm working on. I have to need to make sure everything's there. So then it's smoother. The flow isn't interrupted. So you spin in and then you spin out. And I remember I first learned about spinning in and spinning out from Flora Bowley. I remember she was the very, very, next to Erin Faith Allen, who's an amazing artist. I did 2 of her courses. going deeper, and metamorph was first, and then going deeper. And it was incredible. I never even knew this kind of art existed. And I just can't thank them enough. And it was amazing. And, spinning in, spinning out and all that. So thank you. And that was, wow, it's got to be 4 or 5 years ago now. And that's just this stage of my art process, going from a watercolor artist, landscape, selling, and all of that stuff to I need to change. I want to be an abstract painter or journaler or work with mixed media. So I call myself a mixed media artist, and I love mixing media up, especially imagery or images. So here we go with the circles. Sorry, time to get back to the artwork, as you can see. So once you have enough layers, you're building up. And notice I put some vertical, some horizontal, and you overlap. Then that starts creating shapes on the page is creating the shape on its own. Mostly rectilinear in squares, and that's totally fine. But with the marks, you can come up with, other things will develop. And that's what I'm working on. I'm looking into creating shape, but developing in a natural process, a natural way. Otherwise, it's so contrived. I'm building my, what do we call it? My lexicon of shapes. So I know what I like, and I have more experience. I've done it with marks. Now we need to do it with shape, and this is all a slow process. So thank you, my mentor artists. And this was from an old book, I think an old speller book, something that I found. And I love, because I love words, right? I'm always talking about words. And notice yes, that's what I forgot to do today. It's so interesting. Oh, I'm so glad I'm doing this now. Now I can remember the process. So don't do what I'm doing. Write down in your notebook, because this isn't a journal, so I won't be writing on the back or whatever. But it'd be sort of cool, right? Anyway, writing it down on a piece of paper or a notebook, the overlapping process, the weaving of in and out, and then the collage pieces have more of a relationship. So here I am, I'm realizing, that's too bright. It's driving me crazy. Let's try staining it. And so here comes the manganese. I just needed a little bit. And it's so transparent. I love it. Okay, that's not bad, except that I don't like the edges. But, yeah. Now you see what I'm doing? I'm picking up vertical lines and horizontal lines with the collage pieces. See, and that looks better further down. There it is. No. I wonder if I pick up that line. No. Right there. See, so it's picking up and leaving that piece large enough. But notice when I do that, every piece is a different size. And that's what the eye sees. But then I decide to move this up at the top, which is sort of cool. Yeah. So if I'm not sure, I just leave it there. Okay. And we're going to continue with some more stencil. So once you start with a few pieces of collage, layer number 9, more stenciling. Then the contrast was too great. You see that? More of a blue, maybe even a dark blue would have worked. And I don't even know, let's see what I do here. Oh, I just did this the other day. You think I would, but I've been doing so much. Yes. Now it's not bad, but it's still, now it's too close. So it's subtle, but there's not enough difference there. So let's see if I finally figure this out. So I move it down where it's on the solid a bit more so you can pick it up. Yes. And why I believe it works is that it's really close to the background of where the birds and the tree is. And then that sort of is hiding that edge. And that's sort of what spurred this on. But it doesn't stay this way. Remember, I end up covering up all of that and really taking this in a different direction, which I think you'll like. And it's these that start the change. The rhombuses or checkers, whatever you want to call them, geometric shapes. Wow, what a beautiful contrast with all that organic stuff going on. It almost looks, oh, yeah, it is. It's in its own little section, and you see how the rhombuses are going up and they disappear in behind that piece? That's really interesting. I've got to remember that on the other 4 pieces. There's a reason for that, and I can use probably a different geometric shape, but I like to have a little bit of a common something or other amongst each painting, even if it's of a color, the language of the shapes. And this piece is really cool because it has a little bit of the yellow in it, and it's really close to this value up at the top. And I don't know if I run into some issues because, of course, it's pretty delicate, but I did make it on my jelly printer with a stencil, and with 2 layers or so. And I like how I'm sort of having one side and continuing the other, and it just different layers on top. And that's what I'm finding when I take the time to make purposeful painted papers that go with my the feeling that I'm looking for in many kinds of papers. A lot of transparent. I tend to like black and white in the transparent for those lines. I don't know. I guess it's a layer. And so that's the other part of the tutorial that I will be showing in the near future. So I just waiting to see. I forget why I changed my mind. Probably the contrast was too much, and especially where I want it to be subtle, which is usually in the upper layers. And I noticed this beautiful handcrafted paper on the side that when you tear it, of course, it's very fibrous and the edges are so soft. But I put that to the side. But I am thinking now of a lighter value. Thinking where this would work. So, sort of. And then my bridge symbolism, I really like that down below. And, oh no, I don't use, yeah, I do. I put it right down there. And when you're, just a little heads up, when you're using pages from old texts, the paper is usually very, it's like newsprint. It absorbs anything. I didn't put enough of the clear, the medium on it and let it dry before you put any paint, because then it absorbs it and it gets blotchy. But I'm just going to leave that anyway. It's sort of cool. I'm just going to let that happen. You'll see very soon. I just wanted to take down a little bit of the neutral and add, just get it a little closer to its background color. Down there in the one on the left, it's lower right, where the bridge thing is. And I'm taking these branching lines, and I'm liking that concept throughout, because we have the birds there, but they end up getting covered up. And I believe you'll really like the direction. Okay, so as you can see, I start to cover up with more of an opaque layer of white. And I think it's still the same paint, or it might, no, it's the titanium white, the regular opaque one. And I find this fabulous multi-layered painted collage here that looks so nice next to these, next to that collage piece. And now, see how they're harder to see? So they're more subtle, and that's what I like. Really liking the vertical collage going along with the horizontal. Love that. Yeah, I know that piece fits in there somewhere. I'm just not sure, so I just put it to the side. And there's wonderful light turquoise pieces, semi-transparent. Oh, interesting. Okay, I don't end up doing that though. And so this is just part 1. And total layers are about 10 layers for the phase 1 of this piece. And isn't that interesting? I went super dark here. I just had to do something. So adding a little bit, and I clean up the edge. That's much better. Clean up that edge. And that edge. So then I'm not worried about the upper edge so much. I know I'm going to scour through it with my awl. And then I decide to keep going and leave, with a slightly different, slightly lighter value. It's still in the dark range. So you can use mixed media paper, watercolor paper, even a watercolor pad where the edges are taped down and it holds everything really nicely in place, so it doesn't curl like these are. But this paper dried really nicely, nice and flat, so once the fibers settle down again. So I'm just about to go, like, I just don't know what to do. Like, I know something's going to happen. I know I'm going to make a decision. So I thought, okay, let's push it one layer behind with a piece of stencil. And I know that I've been discussing that this particular stencil I've used so many times really needs to be soaked and the layers of paint off of it. So then I go, okay, that's enough. I'm done. And I feel so relieved. And I still do. So I made the right decision. And then the craziest thing happens, which you'll see next week. I don't know if it happens here. No, because I come down and going, what happened? And it just happened to appear in the upper right-hand corner there in the most amazing way. So then I'm just carrying over a left to right motion here with some stenciling, just to carry the eye and add a little bit of texture. Loving that. Okay, and that's okay. It's not bad. It's a good layer. But I'm liking all the different things going on below. You've got a vertical motion of the rhombuses, bringing the eye up, but yet there's nothing catching that eye and bringing it further up. And I like how I darkened the values there, like even them out. That is still the mixture of manganese and turquoise. And that's it for this week. So I hope you enjoyed part 1, and I'll see you in the next video.